Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining us from the world. Thank you once again for tuning in to this program. I'm grateful to each and every one of you who has decided to come and join this show. We decided today to do this show a bit early than our normal time because we want people in Juba and South Sudan to benefit from the free bundles that the MTN offer on Sunday. And that is why we are doing it early, before 6 p.m., because we understand that 6 p.m. is the deadline for these bundles to run out. So those of you who are joining us, we welcome you to the show. We thank you very much for your time and for interest in following this page and in supporting us, in letting us hear of your views, in always being part of the discussion that we have been holding for some time now. So I'm extremely grateful to each and every one of you. Let me ask you, those of you who are joining and who are now watching, please, if possible, share the video so that other South Sudanese may be able to have access to the content of what we are discussing. This is very important. It's the only way in which we could educate our people about the conditions that are taking place in our country. We are extremely grateful that many of you are joining. We encourage you to be engaged. Please leave comments. Obviously, I read comments as I speak. So please share your feedback with us. If there's something that you like it, share the video, make comments, be engaged. We are extremely grateful for that. So thank you very much. Today, as many of you have seen, what I had intended to talk about today, I was going to make a personal appeal to the family of the president, our president Salva Kiir Mayardit, the first family. I was going to start with the first lady, Mama Yandit, and I was also going to address the children of President Kiir, starting with the eldest child, Adut, Mayar, and obviously Thiek and Anok. I was not going to reach the other younger ones, but I was going to focus on those four children and the First Lady herself. But I'm not going to do that because when I made the post, many of you made comments and many of you called me and sent me messages privately and advised me to stay away from involving the family of the president. But I wanted to make it very clear that I had no intention to attack the family. Obviously, I know the family is not the one responsible for the decisions that the president make. The president is an independent person. He is capable of making his own decision and being responsible for those decisions without involving his family. But my intention was not to touch the family. My intention was simply to make an appeal to them, to talk to the president, and see if they can prevail on him to exit. As you all know, all the political leaders in the world, there are three layers of advice that advise the leadership. The first is the political party. Any leader in the world, especially in the modern world where there are political parties are usually very much engaged. They are the one that select a candidate, and they are the one that provide the policy, and they are the one that are responsible for that particular candidate. Many of you are familiar with South Africa. You remember when President Thabo Mbeki, when he was the president of ANC, after he lost the election to Jacob Zuma, the ANC wrote a letter and withdrew Mbeki from the position of the presidency. So it showed that the oversight of whatever that Mbeki was doing was the political party ANC. And the same thing happened to Zuma too. When Zuma lost to the current president, Ramaphosa, the same thing happened. The ANC wrote a letter and withdrew Zuma, and then they put Ramaphosa in to be an acting president until the elections were held. So in the case of South Sudan, the ruling party is the SPLM, the Sudan People Liberation Movement. So you will have a political party that could prevail on a particular leader, especially if that leader is not performing well, as it has been the case now for South Sudan for many years. The second layer is the community. the community from which the president comes from. And in the context of South Sudan here specifically, we have, of course, the community that is the Dinka community overall. That is the ethnic group that the president comes from. And when the president is not performing well and is embarrassing the country the way that we have been watching over the last several years, all of you saw what happened in Arusha, Tanzania. Our president could not even remember the names of his counterparts, including the host, the president of Tanzania, who was hosting them. He was referring to the president of Congo as a representative of the president of Uganda. And the whole thing was just a complete embarrassment for the nation. And that was not the only thing. You also saw what happened in New York when he visited here for the meeting of the United Nations. He couldn't walk properly. He couldn't lift up his foot. You also saw what happened in Russia after he left here from New York and went to Moscow. He couldn't even put on the earpiece so that he could listen to the translation of the speech that the president of Russia was giving. And the president of Russia has to help him. Putin has to help him figure out how he could put on his own earpiece. We have seen so many embarrassment, not to mention even what happened in Terekeka last year. But we have seen all of these things. So you would think once things have reached to that level and the political party is unable to respond, then you would have the community intervene and try to talk to their son. And here in particular, we are referring to the Dinka community, the overall Dinka community. And then specifically, we are referring to Dinka Rek community, which is concentrated in Warab state. And then within Rek community, we refer to Gogrial community. And then within Gogrial community, we refer specifically to our one community. So that is a second layer that is supposed to oversee the leadership in South Sudan. And all of us, you remember during the war, when John Garang was leading, when things sometimes are not going very well, the Dinka board community would have a meeting with the president and would prevail upon him and talk to him, talk to John Garang so that he can change his behavior or make some adjustment in his own leadership. So that is the second layer. And the third layer, obviously, is the family. Because ultimately, whatever that the leadership does, the beneficiaries or the victim of that legacy are usually the family. So given the way the situation in South Sudan has gone, you have SPLM that has completely been demobilized. SPLM is no longer really a functional political party. You have seen now the last convention that the SPLM held was 2008. Children who were born in 2008 are currently 15 years or older, since the SPLM convention. I think something like 45% of the population of South Sudan was born after the convention of 2008. And since then, there has been no convention. The president has used the degrees to be able to completely destroy the SPLM, removing all the leaders he didn't want, those of Pagana Mum, who was elected as the Secretary General, those of Riek Machar, everybody that he didn't want, he has removed them. And you have seen now, he just issued a presidential orders to whether increase the numbers of the members of the National Liberation Council or the numbers of the political bureau. This is how he has been running the SPLM. So SPLM has become really a tool for him to maintain his own power. And SPLM is no longer really an active political organization that is independent and that could prevail on the president. Everybody in the SPLM now is just singing and cheering. And you have seen with the so-called endorsement that are happening all around the country. You saw the endorsement that happened in Wau, in Western Barghazal, where people were rounded up all across Barghazal region, brought to Wau to endorse the president. You recently witnessed on the 4th of November the endorsement of the Upper Nile region, which did not even occur within the greater Upper Nile. People from Upper Nile had to be brought to Juba to come and endorse the president. And I think the only thing that is still remaining now is the endorsement by the people of Equatoria. So we have seen that the SPLM is no longer functional. And the same thing with the community. The Dinka community for many years Many of us, we were misled by the president when the war initially started in 2013. We were told that the war is a tribal war, that Riek Machar was repeating what he did in 1991, and the Dinka community flocked to help the president. And the Dinka Council of Elders did play a role in mobilizing the Dinka community to provide support to the president. Many of you remember when the Council of Elders were writing letters to IGAD, to African Union, to UN, as if they spoke for the president. And now, since then, these people have disappeared and they are nowhere to be found. So that is a second layer of oversight of the president. And the third, obviously, is the family. But because of the advice that I have received from many of you, privately, on my wall, those of you who have called me, and by the way, thank you very much. No one person is wiser. And the only thing that we can do in this world is to also listen to our people. If our people advise and say this is not the best way to address this particular issue, then it is important that we listen. So many of you have called me and they asked me, leave the family. Don't ask them to be involved in any way. And I have listened. So I'm not going to address the family in this show. I'm going to leave the family, and I have listened to your advice. But what I'm going to do is then now to talk to other elements of the community that are supposed to prevail on the president and let him think about his exit. So I'm not going to touch the family, and I have no intention whatsoever to insult the family. I simply wanted to appeal to them because I am worried about what is going to happen. Because take it from me, President Kiir is going. He's not going to be there. And as I said in the last 4 videos, 2024 is the year in which we are going to remove him. We are going to get rid of him in 2024. And when we get rid of him, what will happen? Obviously, there will be a complete change. These beneficiaries of the system in Juba now, those who have completely hijacked the system, they are milking it for their own benefit. These individuals, they will no longer have access to those resources. And if Junubin are able to get rid of president, especially if this happens violently, there will be ramifications. And these ramifications will affect everybody. So I wanted to make sure that people were talking to the president and see if at all, if he can find it somehow in his heart, if there is one iota of nationalism that still remain in his heart, that he should consider exiting in a peaceful way. And I wanted to make an appeal to those who I believe he could listen to. Because what has happened now, if you tell the president what he does not want to hear, then you are accused of coup, you are accused of all kinds of issues. If people closer to him, people from his own family, people from his own community, were the one talking to him, then one would imagine that they will not be accused of coup, they will not be arrested, they will not be killed, and therefore there's nothing that the president could do to them, because he will know that these people love him, and they are talking to him about what is best for him and for them. Take an example, what happened with the Idi Amin. Now all the comedians in the world and in East Africa are making all kinds of jokes about what happened during the Idi Amin time. And yes, there were a lot of funny things that happened in Idi Amin time. But compare that to what happened during the time of President Kiir. So you just wait. Once we get rid of him, it's going to be a field day for comedians. And now that he's become the president of East African Community, I know the Kenyan comedians, the Ugandan comedians, the Tanzanian comedians, they're going to have a field day with what happened with our president. And I think it's going to be extremely embarrassing for anyone that knows him. It's going to be embarrassing at all levels. And all of us who are members of the Dinka community and who are also South Sudanese will be extremely embarrassed by the shows that the comedians will be doing months and years from now. So I wanted to make an appeal so that some of that could be avoided. But because of your advice, I'm not going to address the family. But again, I want to address people that I believe can prevail on the president, and particularly the elders of the Awan community. As I mentioned to you before, personally, I consider Awan community as one of the victims of the leadership of President Kiir. They are one of the victims because their names has been used to loot the country. Their name has been used to commit all kinds of atrocities and crimes on the people of South Sudan. The example that I gave last time was the issue of the international airport, the so-called international airport that is being constructed in Akon. This Akon is the village of the president. This is where the so-called international airport is being built. Apparently, this international airport is imagined to be 50 kilometers by 50 kilometers. And to be honest with you, the entire territory of Awan will be completely gone if such an airport is built there. But even more importantly, as I said last time, the Awan community also, they are worried about this. And there were individuals last time when the project was launched at Pyramid Hotel. I remember my good friend Kodjol asked a question, and he asked, has this international airport been approved by the parliament? That was a very legitimate question. It was a legitimate question because any such major project that has consequence on the budget of South Sudan has to be approved by the parliament, because according to our constitution, parliament is the one with the sole authority to allocate resources of South Sudan across project and across priorities. But the question was not answered, and people try to find different ways to sugarcoat what was happening. The reality is such project has not been approved by the parliament. And the reason why people of one community ask that is because they are worried about what this project is. As I said to you before, initially, when this project was launched, 50 million was paid to Bang Mayen. And then this Bang Mayen, he went and finished the money. And then now more money was given to him. And then now what he did is to go and subcontract an international community, an international company from Malaysia to be the one now to come and build. So he's like become like the middleman, and his role become confusing here. Is he the one building it? Is it the international company that he has brought? So people of one community ask that question because they know the 50 million that was initially released has been wasted. And there is a place called Lil Majak. This is the place where this person, where this so-called airport is being built. Turn off the light. This so-called international airport is being built in a place called Lil Majak. And this Lil Majak, as I mentioned to you before, what has happened really is really a pool that has been built there. It's full of water and is birds and children that are playing there. There is really nothing that is taking place there. And the money has gone. $50 million is gone. And it's gone at a time when our diplomats have not been paid for 30 months. 30 months. That is almost 3 years. 3 years without salaries. And many of these people are stationed all around the world. They're here with us in Washington, D.C., and they are suffering here in Washington, D.C. Many of their families are facing all kinds of problems. And their basic salaries, which the government has guaranteed to pay them on a monthly basis, is not being paid. And the money is being wasted on projects that are not realistic, projects that are extremely fake, and that is the reality. Members of the security forces, they have not been paid since July. And even if that salary comes, that salary is very little. It cannot do much for them. All of you, know how the inflation has happened in South Sudan. Prices are extremely expensive. People cannot afford anything at all. Basic living conditions have completely deteriorated. I'm not going to even mention the health situation. Every single day, people are dying. People are being brought to Juba International Airport. People have died in Khartoum. People have died in Cairo. People have died in India. People have died in Nairobi, wherever. So at the airport, we are just receiving bodies. And $50 million could build a world-class international airport in a place called Juba or anywhere else. A hospital that will always be there for our needs and for the needs of the future generation. But because of the massive corruption under President Kiir, Nothing has been done of that sort. So is it really a concern when you see resources being wasted like that in the name of a community? And this community now, when President Kiir goes, he will not go with them. One community will remain after President Kiir. One community was there before President Kiir. One community will remain after President Kiir has gone. The same thing for Gogrial community. And the same thing for the Dinka community and the rest of South Sudan. We are going nowhere. We are going to be here. But the president will go. But what he will leave behind is the legacy of what he has done. And we are going to be either the beneficiaries of that legacy or we will be the victims of that legacy. And this is why it is important for us to be aware of what the impact of his time in power will have on us and for our children. And this is why I want to make an appeal to this community. Members of one community, you need to talk to the president. He's your son. He's your son. He's your son. He's not going to say that you hate him. Because if you don't hate him, you love him. And he is there. He has grown up from being a small boy all the way to become the president of the republic. You as one community, you need to prevail upon him. President Kiir initially had a very good legacy. He fought in the Anyanya. All of you know the whole story has been repeated over and over and over again. But since 2013, he has just been squandering that legacy. He has been showing the world how incompetent he is and how power hungry he is. Because when you watch that video in Arusha, when he was talking, and you see the eyes of his colleagues who are the president of countries neighboring South Sudan, Museveni, you look at the eyes of President Ruto, you look at the eyes of the president of Congo, Felix, if you look at the eyes of president of Tanzania, president of Burundi, everyone was so embarrassed. And you saw the commentaries in the East African media. People wonder, what is making president to embarrass himself to such a level? Can he really not retire? Is power really worth his dignity? The way that he's going around the world, making a mockery of himself and making a mockery of his country. A country that is blessed with so many intelligent people, so many people that can build the country and take it to the higher levels. But he has decided simply to go down with the nation. This, as you all know, is problematic. And the reason why I appeal to our one community is because the people of South Sudan have already talked to the president. They have already made their feelings known to him. That was through the national dialogue. If you remember, national dialogue was a process that he started himself. It went on for years. People of South Sudan across the 3 regions of South Sudan, they all came together and they spoke and they talked. And they said, President Kiir and Dr. Riek Machar should exit. That is the national dialogue. The people who headed it, Abel Alier, is elder statesman of the entire Sudan and of South Sudan. He has there Angelo Beda, who is also elder statesman of Sudan and South Sudan. He had there Uncle Bona Malwal, who is an elder statesman of Sudan and South Sudan. And these were the people, and Francis Mading, elder statesman of Sudan and South Sudan. These were the key people that were overseeing this. And they came up with a conclusion from what they heard from the people of South Sudan, and they told the president that he and Riek Machar should exit. But what happened? They refused. They refused to exit. So it's not like the people of South Sudan have not appealed to him. They have already appealed to him. But what we don't know is whether the people of a one community have appealed to their son and asked him to consider respecting the wishes of the people of South Sudan. And the reason why I say that is because although the president is embarrassing all of us as a country, as the Republic of South Sudan, he is particularly embarrassing the one community. There is no other way to put it around, because he's their son. And whatever he say or does is a reflection on them. Because any person, a person is made up of the values from which he grew up. Every society and every community has its own values. And those values are reflected by your son and daughters in how they carry themselves. What we have seen with President Kiir since he has been in power is unbelievable levels of corruption. Unbelievable levels of corruption. that have completely destroyed the image of the country. We were always people that were honest and ethical. But since he came to power, deliberately, corruption was used as a tool to completely destroy anything about the country. We now have become so corrupt. There is nothing that anyone can do now in South Sudan without being corrupt. Just look at the salaries that people are paid. If you are paid the kind of salaries that people are receiving in South Sudan, salaries that cannot really last you 2 days, then how are you going to survive? You will have to hustle. And hustle has so many things, is a loaded word. There are so many things in it. So if people are hustling, this hustling sometimes veer off to corruption. And that has become now the system in the country. So corruption has got out of control. Murder through the unknown gunmen. We know so many people that have been killed, from Isaiah Abraham that was killed, Julius Moy, and so many others that have been executed for no good reason by the president. Murder has become really a thing here. We know, obviously, during the War of Independence in the bush, there was a lot of terrible things that happened. But to have a real government, a government that is supposed to function under a constitution, to continue on with the legacy of murdering people, that is a real concern. And that has become a reality in South Sudan. Intercommunal violence. We from Jonglei State and from Upper Nile region, we have been the primary victims of that policy of the government. It's a policy of using communities against each other so that they destroy each other, and so that ultimately we are unable to address the issues that are affecting the nation. Murle has been armed by the national security consistently so that they can come and destroy our people. And we have seen with Johnson Olony how Johnson Olony has been used as a tool by the president to basically destroy Upper Nile State and to turn the communities of Dinka, Nuer, and Shuluk against each other so that they destroy each other. We know in Unity State how the elements of Bull Nuer militia through Tutkew have been used to create havoc in that state. So the Great Upper Nile, we have seen this. But this is now going beyond Upper Nile. You have seen what has been happening in Barghazal lately. Initially, you saw the conflict between Twitch Mayadit and between Abiy, where people have been killed, and where, from what we are hearing now, there is a massive mobilization going on. We are worried, incredibly worried, about what is going to happen. You have seen recently what is happening between Gogrial East of Warab State, particularly Apuk community of Gogrial, with Marial Wow community of Western Barghazal State. People have been killed, villages has been burned, all kind of havoc has been created. And for many years, we know what happened in Lake State, the way in which Maturichut was used basically to destroy Lake State and turn people of Lake State against each other. And even when the people of Lake State say, we don't want this man, you remove him, the president will keep him there. So this has been happening consistently. So that is another legacy, the legacy of intercommunal wars and intercommunal violence. This, my people, is a real problem. So this is the legacy that the president is going to leave. And all the people of South Sudan are upset. And I would like the elders of a one community to think about how they can talk to their son. If he's not listening to people like Peter Biar, because we don't come from a one, let him listen to people from a one who are there. Let them talk to him about him leaving. Not that he has any good legacy left, because he has literally squandered everything. Money has been stolen, people have been killed, communities have been destroyed. The entire country has been subjected to poverty and to hunger and to disease because of the policies and the decision that the president have been making. So my people from a one community, I have to appeal to you so that you can talk to your son. Talk to your son. He's not going to be there forever. And the leadership is not going to remain with our one community. Do not deceive yourself that somehow President Kiir is going to leave the power to his son. That is never going to happen. There is no way people of South Sudan are going to allow that to happen. So the notion that all these crimes that he has committed will be buried because the leadership will be passed on to his son, that is never going to happen. South Sudan is not a kingdom. We are not a kingdom. It has never happened anywhere. So you see Museveni doing all this nonsense in Uganda. I even doubt that this nonsense is going to happen in Uganda, leave alone South Sudan. So let us not cheat ourselves. You know that time of President Kiir is coming to an end. And you as a community, you need to be on record. What have you done? Have you talked to your son and he has refused to listen to you? Or is it because that you people have not talked to him? This is a real question, and I really would like you to reflect. And I say this not because you people are responsible for the decision that the president had made. No. And as I went through the whole experience of the airport, the so-called Akon International Airport, I made it very clear that this is a project that is being built without your approval, and is only your name that is being used to loot the Republic of South Sudan. But you also need to talk to your son. He's not going to do anything to you. But if other people come to him, he will look at it in a very wrong angle. So my people, I warn you, my people, really like you to think about what it is that you can do. Talk to your son and make sure that this gentleman is able to change his behavior. This is very, 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 very important. The other people that I want to appeal to are the church leaders. I know church leaders are not supposed to involve themselves in politics, but we are a society where church has played a very important role since the independence of Sudan. Our churches have been part of our growth and development as a nation, and they have always been there. They intervene at a very harsh time. I would like the three, especially the five major church leaders, the Catholic, the ECS, the Presbyterian, the African Inland Church, and whatever those other churches that are there. Please talk to the president, and don't talk to him in a way that you guys are afraid. Just tell him that he has failed. Tell him he has failed. You are supposed to be men of God. If you read the Old Testament, there were times in which God would send prophets to kings that were destroying their nations. And they will come to the kings and tell them that here is what Lord Almighty says. You people can be like the same. There is no reason why you cannot go to the president and tell him really what he doesn't want to hear. That thing that he doesn't want to hear, which is the truth, he need to be able to be told that. You need to be told that. And you church leaders, you can play a major role. The third group that I want to appeal to are the women of South Sudan. Please visit the president. Go to him. Tell him he has failed. You women now are the people that are suffering the most. You are being subjected to all kinds of difficulties during this violence. Women are being raped. They're being displaced. Their communities are being affected in many different ways. These women, they need to be involved. They need to be involved in the process. And in my opinion, I think they can also prevail on the president, and they can help us with this situation that we are facing. Finally, there is one issue that I want to address, and I will end here. Today, I will not talk in Dinka, so I will end. The video will be very short. There are people that, when some of us, criticize the president, call him out on his failures, they will say, they are insulting our elder, right? This would be people generally. I've heard this primarily from people from some elements of Baragazal, especially from Werap. Why are they talking bad about our elder? What I want to say is this, Ya Jama. President Kiir is not a president of Baragazal, okay? He's not a president of Werap. He's running the Republic of South Sudan. And this Republic of South Sudan include us. We are in it. We are stakeholders in the Republic of South Sudan. If you want him to be, if you want us not to talk about him, take him to Werap to be a governor of Werap State. Have you ever seen me criticize the governor of Werap State? Have you ever seen me criticize a governor of Western Equatoria? No. And the reason is because I'm not from there. If the governor of Werap is messing up Werap State, it's up to the people of Werap State to deal with that situation. It's not my issue. I don't come from Werap. I don't know all the details of what the governor of Werap State is doing. The same thing with the governor of Western Equatoria. I don't know what is going on in Western Equatoria, and the people of Western Equatoria are the one that can deal with your governor. But if he comes to run the Republic of South Sudan, ya Jamaa, and he is the president of the Republic of South Sudan, then he is the president of all of us. And we, as people of South Sudan, have a right to call him out, to criticize him, to say whatever in our head that we want to say. And you cannot come and tell us he's our elder and our elder is being criticized. These young people are attacking our elder. Take him to Gogrial. Take him to Awan. Take him to, let him go and run Barghazal. You will not see any one of us talking about him. But if he comes to run Republic of South Sudan, then we as people of South Sudan have a right to talk. We have a right to see what he's doing right, what he's doing well, and to be able to make our feelings known about his leadership. This is very important. This is very important. If you think of him as a regional leader, he's your leader, take him. Let him go and run your state. Take him. Take him to Werap. Make him a governor. Museveni said last time when he came to Juba, he said, those of you who are messing up South Sudan, go and mess up your village. Right? Take him to Akon, make him a chief there. You will not hear me say anything. Have you ever heard me talk about what the chief of Akon is doing? I've never done anything of that. So you people, you cannot come and tell us that we are talking bad about the elder of Barghazal. We are talking about our president, whose decisions has consequences in our lives. And we have a right to make our feelings known. Right? When John Garang was criticized, when those of Abelalier was criticized, have you ever seen anyone from Bor say you are attacking our leader? Because none of them was a leader of Bor. They were leaders of South Sudan. And anybody in South Sudan who feel aggrieved, who feel that there is something that Abelalier has done wrong, or John Garang has done wrong, they have a right to criticize him. Because the decision that those people were making were having impact on them. So it's the same thing, ya Jamaa. Salva Kiir is running the Republic of South Sudan. And we as people of South Sudan, whether we come from Nuer, we come from Chuluk, we come from Bari, we come from Balanda, we come from Zande, we come from Jie, we come from Taposa, we have a right to criticize him because the decisions that he's making are having impact in our life. So do not keep on talking about this nonsense. If you want him to, if you want the rest of us, South Sudanese, to not talk about the situation about Salva Kiir, take him to Barghazal, take him to Akon, take him to Kwajok, let him run Kwajok. You will not see any one of us coming to talk about your local issues. Those are your local issues. You can figure them out, handle them in the way that you want. But if he comes to run the Republic of South Sudan, the way that he's looting our oil, he's looting our oil every single day, giving it to those of Bolmel and a few other individuals, you know. If he comes to do that, is he killing our people, arming Murule so that they can come and destabilize our areas, creating all these divisions within the society, depriving our people of jobs, you know, creating international embarrassments. When you come to speak in New York, does he go and speak as a mayor of Akon? Or does he talk as a governor of Kwajok? He come and talk as the president of the Republic of South Sudan. And the shame that he leaves behind is a shame that goes on our head and the heads of our children. So we have a right, absolute right, to criticize him. And you cannot come and tell us that there is some elder from Barghazal or from Werap or from Akon that is being attacked. He's the president of the Republic of South Sudan. Get him to retire, take him to Kwajok, let him run Kwajok, and then that will be fine. So this, I wanted to say that because a lot of people have been sending me all this kind of nonsense. So let me end there. Again, my appeal, as I was saying before, SPLM as a political party has failed. It has completely been hijacked. You have now those of Tutkel as members of political bureau that are running the SPLM. This was the guy that the Jalaba used to use to recruit Junubin and take them away and to bribe commanders in the SPLA so that they can fight their own people. He's now one of the leaders of the movement that he fought so hard to destroy, the SPLM. That is a problem. So SPLM is no longer really a real thing. It's a party that is only in the pocket. Just imagine, the minute that a governor is appointed, that governor automatically becomes the chairman of the SPLM in that state. Do you think that is a party that actually where members make decisions? Whoever the president appoints as a commissioner in that county, he or she automatically become the chairman of the SPLM in that county. Is that appropriate, Yajama? Is that a party where the decision of the members are being respected? So the SPLM is not functional. And the elders here have abandoned us. They helped to cement, to build this narrative that the Dinka leadership is being taken. And now they have disappeared. They're nowhere to be found. I'm appealing to those elders to come back and to help correct a situation that they helped to create. It's very important for them to do that. And finally, I'm appealing to our one community. I know you are also victims of President Kiir leadership. The airport, for example, is being used as a project by certain individuals. These individuals come from all over South Sudan. These are part of a clique that are only interested in looting. And these individuals, they don't care. They don't care what legacy they leave behind. They don't care what kind of situation will come in their wake. But the reality at the end of the day is these individuals, they want to make money. And they are using whatever, whether they use Kiir family, whether they use a one community, whether they use whatever. They will use that so that they can get what they want. And what they want is money. So as a community, I'm appealing to you as elders. I'm not sure if you have already done so, but if you have not, please talk to President Kiir. His time is going. We are going to remove him, and he's going to go. But it's better if he retires on his own. At least people will be able to say, Ajama, he left the power on his own. It doesn't matter what he did wrong or what he did right, he left the power on his own. That would be better. But it doesn't matter ultimately. He will be removed, and a better South Sudan will be created. I want to thank you again for tuning in. I want to thank you for your comment. Whether you disagree with us, whether you are agreeing with us, we thank you for making your feelings known. This is the kind of South Sudan we want to build. We want to build a South Sudan in which people are able to share their views, where South Sudan where people are able to exchange ideas. What we are doing here is we are having a dialogue. We are having a discussion. And we want all the people across South Sudan to be having the same discussion. We want them to talk. And we want them to talk facts. Yeah? People say you cannot talk facts. We have to talk facts. Yeah? We have to talk facts. So whether if you are insensitive to facts, whether you don't like what we say here, that is up to you. But believe me, we are going to be talking, and we are going to be educating the people. And those of you who are honest in your feelings, in your heart, truly in your heart, you know very well that everything that I have said here is all the truth. And there is nothing that will free this country other than the truth. So we must speak the truth, we must talk about the truth, and we must make sure that our people act on that truth. I'm appealing to the elders of a one, people of a one, talk to your son. I'm appealing to the church leaders of South Sudan across all the different denominations. Talk to the president. He has subjected the people of God, Christians, to unimaginable suffering. Everywhere people are crying in his name. People are weeping in his name. Children are being killed in his name. Women are being raped in his name. Elderly people are being slaughtered in his name. Please, I am appealing to you as church leaders, as people of God, talk to our president, get him to exit. And you, people of South Sudan, this thing, when you see someone from anywhere criticizing the president and you come and say our elder has been criticized, if he's your elder, take him to your village. But if he's our president, leave him to us. Let us talk about how we feel, what we think is the best. It's up to us, it's our right. It's not up to you to decide how we are going to be dealing with the president. It's not up to the president to decide the best way we will oppose him. Should he be the one to decide how we oppose him? We oppose him based on how we want. However we want. That is how we are going to oppose him. And it's not up to him to dictate, this is too sensitive. No. We are the one to decide what is the best way to oppose him, because our intention is to remove him. The person being removed is not the person who decides how they are going to be removed. So we will decide how he will be removed. Finally, again, my brothers and sisters, please share the video. Whether you disagree with us, share the video. If you agree with us, share it so that other people who may agree with us will watch it. If you disagree with us, share it also so that other people who disagree with us will see your point and say we disagree. Share it so that other people may comment, may weigh in, and also make your own video. Make your own video, respond to this in whatever way you think is best. And I appreciate. I salute you. Have a blessed Sunday. God Almighty bless you. And again, 2024 is the year we are removing him. If you are a soldier, think about how we are going to remove this man. Each of you, you have a role to play. Whether you are a journalist, you are a businessman, you are a banker, you are a soldier, you are a church leader, you have a role to play. Think, what are you going to do to help free South Sudan of such a terrible failure? And I thank you. Have a blessed day and see you next time.